Hello. I hope you all had an excellent lunch. Hopefully, not feeling too satisfied and well mentally prepared for the final session. So the final session and the panel 3 will be on Andhra Pradesh, and we'll have 4 panelists, and we follow the order in which it is given in the layout. First, just briefly, a little bit about the individual panelists. First on the list, we have Mr. Ravi Rebrapagada, who is a co-founder of Samata, which is an advocacy group fighting to safeguard the rights of the tribals. The organization moved the Supreme Court to stop non-tribals from mining in tribal areas, resulting in a landmark ruling now known as the Samata Judgment, which is used all over the country to fight against encroachment of tribal lands by mining companies. And Samata works with tribals in about 350 villages spread across Andhra Pradesh, East Godavari and Visakhapatnam districts. The organization facilitates basic amenities, health, education, alternative energy generation and employment for tribals in these areas. Ravi was awarded the Social Act of Courage Award at the 2012 Godfrey Phillips National Bravery Award, and previous to that, in 2009, he also received the National Leadership for Social Science from the Network of Economic, Social and Cultural Rights. After Mr. Ravi, we have Dr. Sastry, who has for many years been working in the Tribal Cultural Research and Training Institute in Hyderabad in Andhra Pradesh. He has a background in anthropology. He's now retired from his position as director of that institute, and he's now these days mostly engaged in social consultancies and applied types of commissioned research. Thirdly on the list, we have Professor Pawan Mamidi, who's now currently at the Institute of Management in Ahmedabad in Gujarat. He is somewhat of a polyglot in terms of education. He has a degree in mathematics, then later in law, and then finally in sociology. He's been quite extensively abroad, and he has more recently turned to the subject of conciliation and negotiation on an interethnic basis, also doing research on the Naxalites here in the state of Andhra Pradesh, and that the topic of negotiation will be also the subject that he will speak about in this session. Finally, we have Professor Sridhar, who has a background in law and journalism, also from Andhra Pradesh, but from the end of last year, he has been appointed the Central Information Commissioner and has taken up a post here in New Delhi, and his background has very much been in law and journalism with a focus on the right to information. So with these few words, I think we're ready to go, and we'll start with Mr. Ravi, please. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Well, friends, I think I have 15 minutes, sir.
Yes. Okay. No more.
Yeah. So, well, yeah, we have to. I mean, I have this task of putting everything together in 15 minutes, what we might have done over the last 25 years. I shall attempt it. One way is to give you a picture of where we actually work, so that, geographically, you're with me first. That's the specific area. We're talking of an area which is, say, 300 kilometers by 300 kilometers. It includes the coastal area, the plains, and the hills. And, well, this is at the moment not required. We're still working on that. See, the key questions are not even the key questions. Let me just show you the area, then I get into my presentation. So this is one river that supplies drinking water to Visakhapatnam city that comes from the tribal areas. So as you see, the regional hydrology, it's all linked. Ecologically, the whole thing is linked to the tribal life and how, where and when the villages started, how did the village get there, why did they live all these years. Everything is related to source, and that is water, and conducive atmosphere for life to revolve around. So it's very interesting that we hit upon this. So I stop it here and maybe show you a few more slides about minerals and why water and minerals and tribals are linked. And so therefore the rights or no rights. Now when we started our work way back, it was from moving from village to village, coming across small problems, which led us on to relatively smaller problems, but we one day stumbled upon something which we could not chew, which was that there was a group of villagers from the next district who had come to us and said that we are living in a scheduled area. We don't have title deeds or pattas, but the mining companies have, lease. Postpone 10 minutes? No, more, no?
Make it more.
So, so we said, okay, that's a very simple case. Let's go and see. Now that journey led us on to a place called Bora Caves, where again limestone, our friends from Meghalaya, So we went into the caves, and at that time, metaphorically speaking or figuratively speaking, at that time we could not see a light at the end of the tunnel. But as we worked, we started seeing the light. And so that is the work, So we found there were 5 companies which were given leases in scheduled areas against the Constitution's 5th schedule and the AP State Land Transfer Regulation Act of 1959. So we went to the government, district administration. They clearly said, we can't do anything in this. Our bosses have given the lease. So we finally approached the court, High Court, and we got a stay order. And so we were quite excited that all these mining companies stopped their operations. But our joy was very short-lived, because within 3 days, we were all picked up and taken into illegal custody by the police and branded as one particular dalam of a Naxalite group called Vantla Mamadi Dalam, which is never existing.
That's my last name also. What?
Vantla Mamadi.
No, Mamidi is
Mamidi. So then we went, that's when we realized that an issue which is right in the interior, in the tribal areas, needs focus, support, and various, kind of networks to keep it alive, to show the authorities and the court and everybody that this is an important issue. So that's when we went to the media in 93, August 25th. And our people were released unconditional on 28th. So 5 days we were all in illegal custody at different police stations. So then we went into this and said, why? We've gone to the court. We have an address. We are registered with the government. And so why should we be taken into illegal custody? Now that process of inquiry took us in contact with Balagopal, Kanabiran, Haragopal, various others who are the intellectuals out there. Of course, there's a little history before this. I'm starting off like I've come to 93 already when the police took us in. We started working from 87. And the years before 93, we have had conflict with the Maoists parallelly. There's a conflict with the landlords, there's a conflict with the government, and there's a conflict with the Maoists. And all for trying to help a few group of villages get their pattas or get them these deformed pattas, that is a conditional patta, something like your FRA patta, but on revenue lands for Dalit and tribal people. So it's a very simple thing which is there in the law, but why is it not happening? So that there was this kind of a situation by the time we got stuck with this big thing, because the Birlas came up in these 5 companies. And subsequently we filed another writ petition, and the same court, same judge did not give us a stay order. So in the same region, which is about 30 kilometers away, there is one case where we have stopped mining in the Bora caves, but there is a Nimalapadu area where we could not stop, and the Birlas came in with the Border Roads Organization to lay a road 22 kilometers long and 90 feet wide. So this, and we were just a bunch of 4 or 5 people, no lawyers among us. I was the only person from an educated urban middle class background. The rest of them are tribal and rural youth. And of course the communities. So then we realized that we need to raise up to the occasion. And well, on one side, cutting a long story short, while fighting the Border Roads Organization, the Birlas, the Maoists, our own survival, and understanding, well, local dynamics. Like one example I can tell you, like we opposed this road, and we thought that all the people will be with us. No. 14 villages on that road. It's only 3 villages who were with us, and the rest were against us, because they wanted a road, and they were not losing any land. So then we sat down and thought and said we should change our strategy. So we then said we want a smaller road, and if the road is for the people, then the people should define how it should be. And the district administration was under pressure, so they agreed with us, and we did a joint survey. And so that's how we learned that, okay, while we get into the people, we should also know the pulse. And so that way we gathered the support of the 14 other villages or 13 other villages. So that is just an example. Second, in the Bora Caves area, there are 3 issues that come there. One is that basic right of land, because it's a scheduled area. Second, the right of getting either being in control of the business activity, economic activity of tourists coming to the caves, and the tourism department benefiting from it. So we came in with a proposition which the district administration agreed of 25% from every ticket will go to the tribal guides. The third was the mineral rights. The mineral rights, we are still struggling, we are still, it is a larger issue. It involves too many other, factors. But there also we found that, like Professor Varghese had said in the morning about that 20% net profit, that was from the Samta judgment. And so we tried to develop, which was the practical thing was the Bora Caves having 25% from the ticket to the tribal guides. So our point right from beginning was, whatever you do as per the constitution, the people locally have to benefit. Now without the local people benefiting, then in the ultimate analysis, it would be good to become a social mafia or safia. Because all these guys are looting. They're just taking things away. And so unless we empower the community in a different way, till these processes are in place, because these processes take a long time. For example, the government of India went through whole 3-4 years process of MMDR bill, the Mines, Minerals Development and Regulation Bill. And Samta was naturally called in. They actually tried to incorporate us by offering us this sustainable development framework, which is a whole big exercise that is happening right now also, on how to create a framework for mining industry in the country. Now in that we came in with our point saying we will not be part of this process. I mean, we will not take on this contract and things like that, but we'll definitely put in our bit, because we always felt that benefit sharing, profit sharing, or benefits accruing to local people would give a better legitimacy and also help in removing the mafia kind of situations. Like somebody said, certain restrictions make a mafia thrive. So either we replace that mafia or we need to deal with it with the iron hand. Now that's not possible in the country. As I said, the parliamentary report itself talks of so many thousands, 84 or more thousands of illegal mines. So, well, we would take a longer time there. So coming back to the tribal areas and tribal rights, we felt we should fight for existing space, keep existing space, while we fight for new space. So the existing space is that Bora Caves is there. Tourism department wants to do something. Our local people should benefit. One. Two, if there is mining in the area, by the way, since 91, 92, there is, except a few quarries and one particular limestone mine, there is no mining in the district that I am talking of, Visakhapatnam. In East Godavari, there have been certain mines of granite and others through Benami. Benami is like, it's a tribal person's name, but then the background is somebody else. So, but in Vizag, there is no particular mining so far. And this issue goes to a larger thing, which is bauxite. Okay, there are minor minerals, there is sand, there is limestone, there is quartz, but there is bauxite also. And bauxite is it's a major mineral, and the profits involved are very, very high in this, because you see, in the first year itself, this particular company, either call it the Jindals or the Anrak or Nalco, by selling the bauxite, by extracting the bauxite and selling it, they would get a 3,000 crore profit. But our point is, the reason I froze this here is that all the bauxite is within this catchment area. It's actually right on top of the springs from where the rivers come. So down the line, we understood that this tribal issue has to again go to the larger media and larger population. So that's when we coined this health of the hills is wealth of the plains. So how do we take? It was actually Professor G. Parthasarathi. Maybe somebody would remember him, agriculture economics. In 95, I presented on an OHP sheet to him, overhead projector. Those days there was no, I just drew that these are the hills, sir, these are the rivers, and these are the bauxite deposits, and the people are there. What do? He said, this is a wonderful thing, you should take it to the society, to larger society. And that's what we did. So we showed there are 21 reservoirs in those 4-5 districts which get water from the hills. So we went to all the farmers leaders who actually want the bauxite factory because they believe that their children will get employment in these factories. So we gave them the right information, we showed them how much of employment they will get and how much of water the bauxite companies or these industries will take. So the choice ultimately, we said, is that for the tribal people like us or Samta or various other groups are there, Maoists are there. So the tribal people might benefit in the ultimate analysis. But it is the plain area farmer who will be lost totally because there won't be any water for his agriculture. So we sought their help in fighting the tribal issue because it is, the whole area is one particular ecological, So those brown ones are the reservoirs, the blue is the rivers, and these are the very fertile areas in the plains. So that's how we try to link both. And what I am giving you in this, I just think I have 1 more minute or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what I've tried to fit in many things in my little presentation now. These are all the list of reservoirs. So then we see, this is a typical bauxite hill. The bauxite on top, it's flat, there's no vegetation. So the argument of the industry, argument of whatever those guys is that we are not cutting down forests. But all the valleys contain a lot of forests, and actually the rivers come out from I'll show you another. These are just all the deposits there. Yeah. See, bauxite is such a thing that holds water. It's like a sponge. So you find that though on the top of the hill there is no vegetation, the streams will be quite, gushing out with clean water. Now, how does it happen? So this is our explanation of it. It's an open challenge for the industry to dispute us. There is this whole thing of laterite and bauxite interface, and wherever the laterite and bauxite interface touch the earth, which is around this part, the springs start coming out. The next slide will show you that those black ones are the water that is retained in it. And bauxite process is very power intensive because they have to remove that water from the from the rock, and they need water to remove the water. So it's a contradiction as such. And so our plans of the government are a lot of things out there. Now the reason we did not focus on the tribal people here in this presentation is because you understand the government does not have them in their radar at all. So everything is bauxite. Then if I go on further, I'll go through this. See, this is where river catchments and bauxite. So they would be cutting, see, the reservoirs that are getting water today will not be getting water tomorrow. By the very act of the bauxite company removing the bauxite and taking the water from the reservoir. So we are trying to tell the industry also that it's a dead investment. It's a problem for you, finally. So you find like Vedanta, one particular company, Penna Cements, has already invested 9,000 crores. They have a refinery, but they don't have the permission to get the bauxite. So thanks to all this, we have the senior Congress leader and the Minister of Tribal Welfare, Mr. Kishore Chandra Dev, who is now campaigning on our behalf. So we are kind of relaxed. We are like, enjoying the whole game. Right now, nothing is going to happen till the elections. And we have been stopping this since 1990. So, I ended there. See, this is we also calculated this way for the farmers and for the political leaders, that where will you have all this industry? Where is the water? Okay, it doesn't matter for them, but at least the farmers' leaders are in with us, and they understand that water is going to be a very big problem. See, this is again the Orissa side. If you mine on Orissa also, it's going to come to Vizag. Vamsadhara, Nagavali, that is Niyamgiri bauxite that catchment comes into Srikakulam and Vijayanagaram. This is at Niyamgiri, 36 streams originate from the site. So, this is the other, 1 minute, sir. I'll not say anything. I'll just say that this is a disaster in the making. See, that entire area between Visakhapatnam and Kakinada is a proposed petroleum and petrochemical investment zone. So there are 150 or 250 villages that have been notified that they cannot sell or buy lands in this area. So this is the kind of inclusive development we are dealing with. Thank you.
It sounds more like exclusive development to me. We'll continue now with, I think with Mr. Srastri, who will speak on the continuous denial of land rights in Schedule A to Andhra Pradesh.
This is your presentation.
Good afternoon. In my presentation, I will be mainly dealing with the law as well as the constitutional aspect of the land in scheduled areas. Since Ravi has already covered a part of it, I will try to skip that, except adding one or two points for that. As far as law is concerned, constitution is concerned, scheduled tribes and scheduled areas are notified by President of India. 46 of the Constitution says that they shall be protected from all parts of exploitation. There is a land transfer regulation given by the Governor of Andhra Pradesh under the 5th schedule of the Constitution, which prohibits transfer of a movable property situated in scheduled areas in favor of non-tribals. Forest Rights Act is there, which intends to undo the historical injustice. PISA empowers Gram Sabha, and there are institutions like Commission for Scheduled Tribes, Ministry of Tribal Affairs. And there are also general laws which are applicable to scheduled areas. In spite of all this thing, land alienation is taking place. And what are the reasons? That is the why are we failing the Constitution? Are all the mechanisms in place are not working, or whatever the reason? This is the crux of the problem. As you can see from this slide, apart from the scheduled areas land transfer regulation, there is a Raitwari settlement regulation which confers rights of patta over all the rights if the position of the occupation is not against LTR. Even assignment of lands to non-tribals is prohibited. Registration is also prohibited. Unfortunately, the present liquor policy of the government, which extends to the scheduled areas without any change, there is only a targets of sale, but nothing else is important. The tribal economy is the worst hit. The general economy is also hit. I will only mention that next year's budget, the planned budget, about 16,000 crores government is expecting from liquor only. That is dominating. Say, not other incomes. Then if that is the target, and the rural development budget is 22,000 crores. So 22,000 crores and 16,000 crores. One study by AP Academy for Rural Development in some villages has shown that 90% of the NREGP wages have gone to liquor only. So the LTR, since 1980 onwards, almost it is in cold storage. Whatever cases have been decided, more than 50% of the cases have been decided in favor of non-tribals. Over and above this, large extent, about 30% as per my estimate, are also held by non-tribals on oral agreements, leaving only 20% of the lands with the tribals. That is the broad situation. Then as usual, the rightful opportunities to contest their cases were not given to the tribals. There is no legal support except a small experimental support given by the Rural Development Department, and large appeals pending in Government High Court. Some files are even lost in transit. I can authenticate this because as Director of Tribal Research Institute, I personally went to High Court GP's office. Only in the registers, the numbers are there, but the files are lost. Then there is another very interesting thing is there are 367 fictitious orders of High Court produced by a group of people in West Godavari district, and the CID has found that some Mandal revenue officers were responsible for this. And the officers who are responsible for implementing the special are called special deputy collectors. Most of the people are posted on the verge of retirement or on promotion only to go away from that place. The general attitude among the officials from from 1980 onwards, because this has something to do with the political environment also, to avoid implementing LTR and play safe. Whoever has touched this is immediately transferred. Then record of rights. It's another biggest casualty in tribal areas. Survey and settlement is not completed. Mutations not done for 3 to 4 generations. In Adilabad district, I have gone to some villages where people could not get even benefits of drought and flood relief because the titles are still in the names of their grandfathers. Then the Mandal Revenue Officer asked the original owner to come. Then they had cursingly have shown the burial ground, saying that my grandfather is there, he cannot come. That is the pitiable situation in that. And then the government of Andhra Pradesh has taken up melas every year. About 1 lakh acres have to be assigned. Even the Commissioner Land Revenue, presently retired, and who is the head of our panel 2 in our new project, he says that as Commissioner Land Revenue, I can give it in writing that not even 10 acres of surplus land is available with the government. How they are giving 1 lakh acres every year? The problem is that same land is assigned to more than one person, and they are quarreling among themselves, and we are happy. The forest settlement, because a lot of things have been discussed in the morning, I will only say that there is one apparent contradiction in this. Many of these areas where the Forest Rights Act patas were given, they were originally declared under the Forest Act. Forest Act has a provision that wherever there is a right of the people at the time of first notification, called a intentional notification under Act Section 4, their rights have to be first given. So if their rights are recognized, they will get a revenue pata, a permanent pata. Instead of that, they got the FRA pata. FRA pata, as I was telling in the morning, it is only a temporary pata, temporary in the sense not a full-fledged pata. And only last week I went to a village where the people got revenue patas in 1963, but they did not know, and even the forest officer did not know till recently, that these lands were originally declared during Nizam's time under Hyderabad Forest Act under Section 4. And it was simply carried forward in 1967 Act. And suddenly, after Supreme Court said in the Deva Varman case that all the Section 4 notified areas are also reserve forests, then they found out that these areas which are already distributed 50 years back are